If you're sick of starting over and you love that fresh start of a new year, but you maybe have a history of giving up on your goals, this is the perfect episode for you. Tune in because I'm going to give you the 3 steps to guarantee you will not fail when you set health goals for your perimenopause. Let's dive in.
What's up, sisters? Welcome to the Period Whisperer podcast. I'm Bria. I'm your host. If you're new, I'm so happy you are here. I'm your perimenopause and menopause sister, your holistic trainer, hormone specialist, translator of your female body. I'm a recovering people pleaser and hustle addict turned body whisperer and hormone decoder. And I am here to help you de-stress your body, decode what it is saying, become the CEO of it, and own your own health, energy, and weight loss again. This show is for you, the overwhelmed, overworked, underappreciated step woman who dreams of a body they feel strong, energetic, and sane in. The woman who knows that she shouldn't just wave the white aging flag and believes in a body and life of peace, love, and purpose. But you don't just know how to get there yet. So if you are stuck in your body, your energy, your life, you are in the right spot. Let's lean in and learn what our bodies are saying to us.
Well, hey there, sisters. Can I say Happy New Year now? I cannot believe it is 2024. I was born in 81. So when you start to think of the 2020s, it's like, I still remember as a kid, you know, when you'd go back to school after Christmas holidays and you would write the new date down and you'd forget for a long time and always write the year before. And there's something magical about New Year's. And I know that whole idea of New Year, New You gets a bad rap. And I know not everyone loves New Year's resolutions. I grew up with New Year's resolutions. My dad was always someone who had something he was quitting. I remember he quit smoking when I was young. I remember he quit sugar for an entire year when I was young. So I think it was ingrained in me at a young time to really look at the year as that fresh start. And although I know it can get a bad rap because I think what happens is we all, we make all these big promises to ourselves and then, life gets in the way, which that's what life does. And that's a big part of what happens, I think, in perimenopause that we forget. And we're going to talk about that today. But I am so excited to take this first episode of 2024 and share something really, really valuable with you. My 3 steps to guarantee you will not fail. Because let's just lay it out here. No matter how you're feeling in your body, chances are you're feeling maybe you're feeling stuck or lost or confused, stuck because you've tried everything, lost because you've been to your doctor and you're the picture of health, or you've had all the tests done and everything's fine, or confused because there's a lot of different messages out there. No matter what you're feeling, there is a clear strategy back, and there's kind of this gap, right? I'm going to talk about this. There's this gap between, knowing what to do and then actually doing it. And I have found that one of the best ways to fill that gap is like real education, real, true, genuine understanding of what's happening in your body. And I mean, that's why I started this podcast, because I felt totally sideswiped at 37 when I was, a health and fitness coach, and I was working out 6 days a week, and I had some really great healthy habits. And all of a sudden I was waking up in crazy night sweats, and I felt like I gained 15 pounds that I didn't deserve. And I was exhausted and frustrated. And I was having like real restlessness and anxiety, which I'd never known before. So perimenopause kind of creates this shift. And if nobody knows what's going on, then it's really hard to understand that what was working, or what you're Googling, or what you're hearing from, the health and wellness world isn't working for you. So today we're going to dive into that. I've got 3 steps. I want to get the down and dirty for you because it is a new year. You have things to do, and I get that for sure. So here we go. Ready? Number one, if you are struggling, right? If you're looking at this new year and you want to set health goals for yourself, make sure you catch the episode I did on Boxing Day on the 26th, because I cover some really important things to ask yourself in there to get that mindset piece right. But number one, when we're looking at setting health goals around this time in our life in perimenopause, the very first thing you have to do that will guarantee you do not fail is heal the inflammation in your body first. Listen, let me explain it. Perimenopause is that reverse puberty time in our lives that we all go through. If you have female physiology, starts around 35, ends when you achieve menopause, a year after your last period. I still think that there's some residual aspects to it, but that's for another episode. So we know that perimenopause happens to everyone. It's that hormonal shift, really. And really what's happening is the job of the hormones is being passed and the amount of the hormones is decreasing because we no longer need to prioritize reproduction, right? That's what's actually happening. But perimenopause symptoms happen a tiny percent from genetics, right? Think about no matter what, pretty much all teenagers are going to experience something like some extra fatigue or extra hunger or, some extra challenges, with voices dropping and things like that and acne and stuff as they go through puberty. Well, in perimenopause, it is normal, obviously, for us to have some things that, we might get a few hot flashes, we might have some restlessness in our sleep. There are some things that are normal because of the hormonal shift. But aside from those small things, which should really not impact your life massively, yeah, they're going to be uncomfortable and inconvenient, but they should be manageable. They should not be holding you back from your goals in any way, shape, or form. A huge percent of these symptoms is because of your habits. And that can feel really frustrating because you felt like, well, I was going along these 40 some odd years and I was totally fine and I haven't changed my habits. But youth is very forgiving. Let's not forget that. And perimenopause is really that gift that, I've said it before, kind of shakes you by the shoulders, but that really tells you, hey, it's time to pay attention because we've got stuff to do in the rest of our life. So this shifting time is really a great time to harness and thrive and make the changes we need to change. Because if we don't, things do only get worse. We know this. I think that's obvious. Most women I talk to, and myself included, if you don't make the real changes, if you don't understand the source of what's happening here, we don't feel better, right? Things logically get worse because here we are thinking, and this is really the mistake that a lot of us make. We think that I'm not making enough estrogen, I'm not making enough progesterone, I'm getting older, I'm drying up. This is what culture tells us. But really, our body can manage the amounts and create the amounts of estrogen and progesterone and testosterone that we need for most of us, most of the time. It's the other things that are getting in the way, right? It's the habits we've kept that are creating most specifically elevated cortisol or inflammation in our body. And of course, left unchecked, inflammation also creates more cortisol, calls on that cortisol to try to decrease the inflammation, and left unchecked, that spreads and creates more metabolic chaos in the body, right? It impacts our thyroid, it impacts our metabolism, it congests our liver, which are all linked and throws off our hormones. So now we can't metabolize our hormones, we can't produce the right amount of hormones. So it's not our hormones specifically, it's what's underneath that. So what is really, really critical, but if you want to guarantee you will not fail, you have to start at the very core of what the issue is. And the issue is always inflammation. Okay, 99% we'll say. Obviously, there are real things out there that aren't that. but inflammation in the body. And it's the things that we're doing in our life that are creating that inflammation that are making it worse. So we need to take the time, you need to take 4 to 6 weeks to stop doing the things that are, in other words, pissing your body off, right? That are irritating your body off. So it's getting inflamed, creating more cortisol when we're already living in a very stressed out landscape here, right? And we can't change a lot of the things necessarily in our life right away that are creating stress, but there are a lot of things that create inflammation in our body that add more stress to the mix. So when we stop doing those, when we take a real period of healing, and this is where I think a lot of people, get thrown off, because sometimes people think, well, I cut back on my workouts, or, I cut back on my drinking, or, I made these small changes, but what's challenging is that it's like, in order to really heal, you have to have a longer period of healing, right? So for me, when I was cutting back and trying to understand, I would only drink on the weekends. And the trouble with only drinking on the weekends is that it takes 5 days for the alcohol to actually come out of your system and not drive more cortisol, which means come Friday, you're just getting out of your system and you're spiking that cortisol again. So you're not actually making any progress. Same thing with any food sensitivities you may have that you don't know you have. Because when you're in inflammation, foods that are inflammatory that we may have been able to handle irritate us further. So again, it becomes a problem. We're not actually getting ahead of the game. So then you start putting in this work. You think, I'm doing the things, I'm making better choices in my fitness. I'm making better choices in my food. I'm trying to go to bed early, but then you hit the weekend and it all goes to you know what. And the problem with that is that we never actually get ahead. And then we feel exhausted and frustrated and stuck because we're doing this work and we're not seeing results. We're doing this work and we're not seeing results. So what is so important in this very first step to guarantee you will not fail is to first heal that inflammation. Take a real 4 to 6 week period of healing, of progressing on your health goals, and then you can take your foot off the gas. You can ease up a little bit and you will still get really great results. But we need that very focused, condensed immersion time so that you're not just constantly picking an open wound or picking a scab that's not fully healed. That's number one. Okay, number two, you have to follow a strategy for perimenopause. And this is where I'm sure it can be really confusing, but it's actually a lot simpler than you think. If you're out there following a health goal strategy designed for men, it is not going to work very well for you. It's going to be harder for your body, or it might not work at all. So it may actually go backwards. If you're out there following a strategy that hasn't been proven for women going through these hormonal shifts, then again, you're going to be going against the flow of traffic. Like it's harder, like going up a down escalator. You might get some results, but it's really hard to get the most results. It's really hard to really build that momentum. So you have to follow a strategy that is designed for women in these years going through this transition, the same way you would if you were pregnant, right? You have a specific strategy designed for pregnant women that you would follow, the way they eat, the supplements they take, how much they move, how much they sleep. We need to recognize that this is a significant shift and follow something that is designed and proven for this time frame, right? We want to make sure we're following. You wouldn't set out with a goal to be an amazing basketball player and then go try to learn the skills in hockey, right? We want to pick, I don't know where I came up with that, but I think you get my gist. So we need a strategy, and strategy gets easier, of course, when you know what perimenopause is and how to really heal your own body. So I have something exciting for you. I want to give you a real tool. Knowing that the strategy is so important, knowing that that educational gap is really huge, and that when I understand something more, it's easier for me to make those choices, right? Because it's in my brain. It's like, oh, this is logical. This makes a lot of sense. I have created a brand new, all free masterclass with a bonus on how to release weight, gain energy, and heal your hormones in perimenopause without overwhelm or failure. This is the strategy that I teach in Midlife Mojo. It's the strategy that I teach in my one-on-one clients. This is what gets results. It's where you can learn the game-changing strategy that you can use right now to move away from all those things: hot flashes, sleepless nights, exhausted afternoons. It gives you a simple plan that will teach you how to feel better in your body within just 5 days. Yeah, that's right. It's like my juiciest hormone healing hacks within the first 5 minutes of this masterclass. I'm going to give you how to uncover what is happening in your perimenopause body so that you understand why you're feeling frustrated, lost, and stuck, and the easy strategies to implement in your everyday life that will help you sleep well, wake up rested, energized, feel good in your clothes, and really get results again from your efforts so that you understand what's happening in your body. You're not wasting your time. This is the beginning of a new year. We got to get out there. We got to get things done and feel our best. And also, I will make sure in this live training, I'm going to give you clear guidance on how to understand your hormones and heal, even if you don't have a regular period or you don't have a period at all. So do yourself a favor. There are 3 spots. I even have an evening class. I'm running this 3 times. I won't run it again for at least 6 months. Grab your spots, pause this, swipe up, grab your spot in the free masterclass, share it with your friends, because this is going to be the strategy that you need. So we're going to heal the inflammation. We're going to follow a strategy. And number 3, right? Number 3, I said 3 steps here. So number 3, the third step to guarantee you will not fail when you set health goals in perimenopause: don't do it alone. Don't do it alone. I used to go through this thing in my head when I wasn't feeling good in my body in my earlier years, where, I'd be laying awake at night and I'd be making all these promises to myself. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this workout program. I'm not going to eat this. I'm not going to eat that. But I didn't want to tell anyone. I didn't want to ask anyone for help. I just wanted to do the work and have my own movie montage, I guess, right? Come out this emerged butterfly. And it always failed. You know that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. Well, if you're in perimenopause, if you want to go anywhere, you gotta go with other women that get it. Remember that, especially if you're in a hetero marriage or a hetero relationship, nobody in your life understands what you're going through. What works for women that aren't in perimenopause, what works for men isn't going to work for you. It's a very specific strategy that is actually really simple. You need to be able to bridge that gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it long enough. And the answer to bridging that gap is always doing it with others. So whether you grab some friends that are going through this, whether you join a support group, whether you hire a coach, some of the most, in my life, when I look back and I think about the times that I have grown the fastest, the times that I've achieved goals, I have always had a coach or a team or a community or something around me that has really helped me see not only what I'm missing, but what I'm accomplishing. Because again, you can Google strategies and I talk about these strategies. I'm going to give you the strategy on the masterclass, but if you can't do the strategy for 12, 16 weeks, then it's very, very hard to actually get results. And that's what doing your goals, doing the work, doing your health goals with other people will really provide for you. It will provide you with support. You know what it reminds me of? It actually reminds me of when you go bowling and you choose to put the bumpers up. Sometimes when I take my kids bowling, I still use the bumpers because it kind of makes it more fun. Then you're guaranteed to knock down pins, right? This is what you're doing when you are choosing to make changes in your health, to progress on your health goals, to grow in this area, which is really, really critical, right? It feeds all the other areas of our life. It makes us feel better. Doing it with other people in a community, in a group, or having support, having a coach is like putting bumpers along the bowling lane. You are guaranteed to get results because as you drift off track, as we all do, if you have a bad toss one day, it bumps you back in, and no matter what, you don't lose. So these are the 3 things that guarantee you will not fail when you set health goals. And you don't want to fail anymore. You know that you want to finally unlock the feeling that you should feel. And you don't have time to mess around, not just because you don't actually have time. It's really, really busy in our lives, but also because at this stage in our life, what we don't heal is hurting us, right? If we don't heal the underlying issue, it turns into a dysbiosis. It turns into more damage in the body. It turns into disease. So this is your time for so many reasons. Okay, so let's summarize this up. I wanted this to be a tight, quick episode for you. Number 1, you can't just go out and do whatever you want. You have to, like having a broken ankle, you have to heal the inflammation first, and it takes 4 to 6 weeks. Number 2, you have to follow a strategy for perimenopause, right? Making sure that you're in your lane, that you're learning the skills that are relevant to you and where you're at. And number 3, put the bumpers up, sister. Don't do it alone. All right, go out, be more in your life and not just less on a scale. And hey, go swipe up right now. Join the masterclass. Again, I'm only running 3, one on January 9th, one on the 10th, and one on the 17th. You won't want to miss this. I'll even answer your questions. It is all my strategy right there for you to kickstart your year and feel flippin' amazing. All right, sisters, hope to see you in the masterclass, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you so much for joining me on the Period Whisperer podcast. I want to encourage you to reach out to me directly and message me if there are topics or things you're struggling with so we can address those right where you are at. And of course, if you loved this episode, if you learned something, make sure to share it with your friends and please rate and review it wherever you get your podcasts.